garden, and then it was just, the dogs were acting funny, the chickens were acting funny, and then suddenly there was just this huge bang. But then you see the air is like, if you've ever seen the movie Airbender, it's that sort of the vision that you had.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's not normal, that's not good. So at first I thought it might have been someone having a gas bottle explosion, because most homes use gas for their stovetops. So I thought, okay, and then it just got worse and worse. So your ears started to get, like when you are landing on a flight, and your ears, trying to trying to decompress your ears, and they just became blocked. And then another explosion, and I was like, okay, I will walk down, because I'm 3 houses down from Vuna Road in Sopel. So I went through my neighbour, and I hadn't even gotten to the second house from the foreshore, and water was already coming up, and I went, okay. So I quickly ran back home, and at the time there was no vehicle at home, and by the time I got home and quickly put my running shoes on, grabbed my emergency things like my phone and my just things to take with me, a backpack, most of the neighbours had all evacuated. So I was literally running from Sopel when a really nice couple picked me up, and I ended up at the Villa shelter, the King's Villa shelter, and it was pretty scary, because by then all the ash had come down and it was so dark, and there were just so many people. So by the time I got to the top, people were literally, places were so full that I found myself in an abandoned warehouse that had brick and building materials, and there was families in there in the dark just trying to work things out. And it was pretty sad, because then I shared my water with young kids that were crying to their mother. They were thirsty, and I thought, I can survive. They're a bit young to be without water. And so then I was just trying to text and message my brother in Australia, my sister in Australia, my younger sister, and my mum in New Zealand, and I got through to some of them, but not all of them. So it was pretty scary for my brother, who was the last person I spoke to, and he was saying to me, what's going on? I'm going, I don't know, it's like really bad, and then cut off. And he was like, oh man, it's not the best. I think it would have been more stressful for them than for us.
True.
And it was only when we arrived at some of these shelters we were told that it was a tsunami and it was a volcanic eruption.
Yeah.
But in the time of running away to try to go to safety, there was no announcements, no sirens, no nothing. So everyone was in the dark about exactly what had happened. It was definitely not an earthquake. Yeah. Days after, and then not having connectivity and realizing I don't know how long it's going to be we're not going to have connectivity. And I was just sitting at home trying to, restore some order at home and tidy the garden and things. And then I heard, it was like on the radio, and I heard, if you're wanting to contact family, Red Cross is offering satellite time slots for you to be able to contact your families to let them know you're safe. Apparently that was the very first announcement on the radio, because I heard it first. I was straight on the phone, like calling, and the lady at the office told me I was about the 5th or the 6th person that had run.
Yeah.
It was like a lifeline. Then I managed to get through to my sister, and she was like crying on the phone. I was crying on the phone. I was saying, I'm fine, the dogs are all fine, the animals are fine. I think it's because I live by myself here, that they were more concerned about where am I, who's with me, am I being looked after. So yeah, there's a lot of tears.
Yeah.
A lot of tears. Because, for them, my mum was especially, I was worried about her because she's quite elderly and she has, heart problems and stuff like that. And I didn't want her to stress about it.
Yeah.
And I guess it moved me so much to the point that I, straight away while I was here on that phone call afterwards, I actually volunteered. And so became part of the team to go out and help those who are less fortunate. Yeah. So, what the Red Cross do is amazing. I used to volunteer in New Zealand anyway, and so being here was like a no-brainer. It's not like, there were things were closed, people weren't able to go to work, and so what else can you do? And if you're in a situation that you can help, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely more hands makes lighter work, and so you create friends. You know, there's a sense of pride, a big Tonga that we help each other.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm working with this particular project that was created due to the connectivity issues here in Tonga, and so it's an ongoing support from a New Zealand organisation. And a year later, it still is saddening to see that, you know, some houses are still not even up. There are people like in Soho, you know, I drive past and I sometimes exercise past these homes, and it breaks my heart because you know that they want their lives to be normal.
Yeah.
But basic resources like, you know, shelter, even water. I mean, I still see some neighbours coming to the other neighbours who have water supply.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got kids, young kids walking with water bottles to go and find water sources because of where they live is still totally devastated. So a year later, we're not quite there.
Yeah.
And so the support that comes from organisations like Red Cross and foundations in New Zealand and Australia, all over the world is